Welcome to the Karli and Karli Crazy Khan Academy video. Today we will be teaching you about the Alien and Sedition Acts and the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions.
Let's get started!
Woo!
The new nation was split into two different political groups, the Democratic Republicans and the Federalists. The Federalists believed that the new nation should be focused on a strong central government. They believed that the upper-class, wealthy citizens should have most of the power in the government. Their ideal economy was based on international commerce and industries, which are factories that process raw materials. Most of the population of these Federalists were located in the North.
The Democratic Republicans believed in a government where the state should have more power than the government at a national level. They believed the middle class should have the majority of power in the government. Instead of commerce and industry, they practiced agricultural and production. The population was mostly located in the South, where slavery was still a big part of society.
The Alien and Sedition Acts were a series of 4 laws enacted in 1789 by John Adams to reduce the political power of recent immigrants to the United States. These laws were created for an anticipated war with the French.
The U.S. was growing suspicious of immigrant spies wanting to overthrow the government. The Alien Act required an immigrant to live in the U.S. for 14 years before acquiring citizenship, rather than 5 years. It also allowed the government to deport or jail any unwanted immigrants that seemed dangerous to the peace and safety of the United States. This was mostly geared to the French because they had a high number of people fleeing to the U.S. because of the French Revolution, but it also included British and Irish radicals.
The Alien Acts created civil controversy because it individually called out people depending on their race.
The Sedition Acts prevented anyone from speaking out against the government and the publishing of any false or malicious writings against the government. Due to the government feeling threatened, if anyone publicly disagreed with the government, they would be arrested and thrown in jail. This violated the First Amendment, freedom of speech.
This angered the Democratic Republicans because it did not take into account each person's individual right as a U.S. citizen. The fact that this was unconstitutional made the Federalists look bad and helped the Democratic Republicans gain more respect, and the party grew. This also contributed to the Democratic Republicans' victory in the 1800 elections when Thomas Jefferson was elected President of the United States.
The two main Democratic-Republican leaders, Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, didn't agree with the use of power in the federal government, so they organized an opposition that appealed to the states. Madison brought a resolution to the Virginia legislature, and Jefferson wrote resolutions approved by the Kentucky legislature. These addressed the idea of nullification.
Thomas Jefferson, in the 8th resolution, said, "Let the honest advocate of confidence in government read the Alien and Sedition Acts, and say if the Constitution has not been wise in fixing limits to the government it created, and whether we should be wise in destroying those limits."
Nullification is a state's right to recognize and not enforce an act of Congress that it considers unconstitutional. Technically, a state is not allowed to go against federal law, but with nullification, there are circumstances when a state can disregard a law that goes against the Constitution and takes away the right we are promised as citizens of the United States of America.
I hope you learned about the Alien and Sedition Acts. This is Karli.
And this is Karli.
Thanks for watching!